Hey, welcome back to Zombie Tactics. Today I'm holding in my hand a Humorex airsoft pistol. This is a popular pistol with many firearms training companies because it's very Glock-like and it has kind of a heft and a feel to it, and because it actually has a CO2 cartridge in it, you can do things like this with it, and it's actually got a blowback design. I had the magazine, look at that, that's an airsoft magazine out, because if there are no pellets in the gun, in the magazine, it'll actually lock back just like a quote-unquote real gun would, and it's a very realistic training device for that reason. I'm using this today because I'm going to do some things with it that you really should not do with a real gun. Frankly, don't even screw around when you're handling a airsoft pistol. Just because it's an airsoft pistol and it shoots little plastic pellets doesn't mean that you can run around the house going bang, 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 shooting the cat and the TV and, you know, all kinds of stuff like that. You're going to end up hurting yourself or hurting somebody else or get a vet bill or put out somebody's eye, and this isn't some kind of a joke like we're watching A Christmas Story. These pellets come out of here fast enough that they can break the skin, they can do real damage. There have actually been some unfortunate cases where people are screwing around and they shoot somebody in the neck and it gets lodged in a blood vessel that's, you know, providing blood flow to the brain, and somebody has the equivalent of a stroke because of it, fooling around with a quote-unquote, you know, plastic toy gun. So take it seriously. This is not something you just want to fool around with. Use reasonable care even when you're using an airsoft pistol for training or anything like that. In my case, the gun is actually unloaded, and I'm going to kind of follow most of the 4 rules anyway, except for a couple things I'm going to do here just briefly, and that's the reason why I'm using this and taking such care. I want to talk about a ready position today that gets, I think, confused, and for that reason I want to clarify something. And that ready position that's comically referred to sometimes is called the full Sabrina or the high Sabrina. It's sometimes also called the Starsky and Hutch position. And I'll get to what that is in a minute, but I want to give you a little history and why we don't want to be confused about this, because it's a viable position, or because it gets confused with another position that is a good ready position and a viable one, and people sometimes call it inaccurately, you know, the full Sabrina or something like that. So let's talk about this. Well, if you go back in gun history, there's something, particularly when people were carrying revolvers, that was called the Strong 90. And the Strong 90 was called the Strong 90 because what you do is you hold the gun up like this, so that the gun is facing up like this, and this is not the position you'd hold the gun in, but your arms are more or less at a 90-degree angle. But then you drop your arms to the point where now they're at a 90-degree angle to each other, but a 45-degree angle to the ground. And this was actually considered a pretty good ready position for quite some time, particularly when people are using revolvers. And they weren't really too worried about having their finger on the trigger either when they were using double-action revolvers. It's one of those little bits of history that gets lost, that the whole keep your finger off the trigger thing, that really didn't get widely adopted as a safety rule until the 1990s. That's fairly recent, okay? And that's a fact, by the way. That started getting popular as people started moving to things like 1911 semi-automatic pistols in law enforcement, and also other pistols with lighter triggers than what a double-action revolver would have. So that's the Strong 90. Now, when they started doing movies, as you'll see here, this Strong 90 position causes some problems because depending upon what kind of camera you're using and stuff like that, all of a sudden you got a gun in front of somebody's face right when you're going for the close-up. So directors really didn't like that. They were looking for you know, an alternative to that. So what they did is they came up with this thing where they put the gun at the side. And, you know, here's Starsky and Hutch, or, you know, famously in Charlie's Angels, Sabrina, the character of Sabrina, in a couple of press stills is shown holding the gun like this. And that is the full Sabrina. And it came from the Strong 90. It's taking the Strong 90, tucking it in a little bit, and moving it against the head, and now we've got the full Sabrina. This is not really a very good ready position for a number of reasons. It might look cool on camera, like you're, you know, really cool and stuff like that. But for a lot of reasons, it doesn't do a very good job for us. And one of them is that it's unbelievably close to your head, and that if somebody were to, you know, bump the gun, they've just bumped it right up against your temple. And at a point in time that you might not be too careful about having your finger on the trigger, or they could get their finger in the trigger, they could stick their finger in the trigger, move the gun against your head, and pull the trigger. Not a good thing. And real firearms instructors went crazy when they saw this position on television and movies, particularly when they started seeing some of their own officers on police forces, copy this position as being a cool guy gun position. It's also a terrible position because even though you can get a lot of different camera angles if you're making a movie that look kind of like, okay, you're Mr. Cool Gun Guy, you can go in for the close-up and stuff like that. As a ready position, when you're looking around for the bad guy, you've pretty much cut off a good part of your field of view. You can see that I can pretty easily get here in a position where I really can't see what's off to my right-hand side very much. I'm blocking too much of my field of view. So as a ready position, this kind of stinks for that reason. And this is one of the reasons why people criticize the high Sabrina. Now what's happened though, simultaneously, and this kind of goes back in gun history, Jeff Cooper started doing the modern technique, and his preferred ready position was a 45-degree position down like this. Part of the reason for that was because we started having this trigger on the finger problem, and the idea was that in most cases, pointing at the ground was a safer position than pointing up, where you might be pointing at the ceiling or something like that. But people did get to the point where they realized, well, now wait a minute, we can have a position that's relatively safe as long as we're keeping our finger off the trigger, and started doing what's called the Workspace ready. At least that's what companies like Magpul will call it. And the Workspace position is you're taking your elbow, you're tucking it in against the body, you're moving the gun fairly up close, and now you've got a position here that's very, it has all the advantages that the Strong 90 had, in that you're now looking over the top of the gun and you can see your entire environment around you. There's nothing off to the side one way or the other here. The gun cannot be easily, if somebody's going for the gun, they've got to get within your field of vision to see it. So it's not that kind of thing where it's off to the side where it can just be pushed against your head. So it's a really good, strong, ready position, and it can be easily brought to bear if you need to bring the gun to bear. So no problems with that. What happens though is people will do it wrong. They won't get their body, they won't get the gun tucked into their body like this, and they will see it on a Magpul video or something like that, and the next thing you know, it starts creeping up here, and it starts creeping up here, and it starts creeping up here, and the next thing you know, you're back to the full Sabrina. Now for that reason, people sometimes will inaccurately refer to this if it's just slightly off to the side, which is still fine, by the way, and I'll show you why. If it's just slightly off to the side, they will say, oh, he's doing the full Sabrina, when he's really not. It's not up here against the head like the full Sabrina position. It's out here in what can still be considered kind of a good workspace condition. And the reason for that is I can definitely see everything in my field of view. Even if I'm looking, even if I put the gun up here, you can see how I've still got one eye covering everything. I can see everything out here. There isn't a blind spot where my hand suddenly disappears. And certainly the further you get out, at least one eye is covering everything. And even if I'm over here, well, my eye here is covering out, the eye that you can't see is still covering everything out here, and my other eye is covering everything out here. The only thing is I don't have really great binocular vision right here where the intersection of the two guns are. But there isn't any moving object that's going to be within my field of vision that I can't see. So it works just fine for that. It's not like this thing over here where I can actually block both eyes and I'm not seeing anything. But as that gun gets starting creeping here, again, people go, oh, well, he's got this full Sabrina because the gun's right here. Well, that's not the full Sabrina. This is actually a workspace position that works fine for all kinds of things. As I said, you know, the gun can be brought to bear very easily in this position. It's a great position, as Magpul has shown, for doing all kinds of weapons manipulations and things like that. I know that it's used by Tactical Response. I believe it's used by a number of other schools as well, including Suarez International and some other schools as well. So this is a good ready position, and it's not the full Sabrina when it's done correctly. My advice to you is to use whatever ready position was taught to you in whatever school you went to that is a competent school. If you've gone to Front Sight, Gun Sight, some other place that teaches maybe a different ready position, you know, perhaps the standard modern technique, you know, 45 degrees down, low ready position, or a compressed ready, or some, you know, one of these other more novel ready positions like a count two ready position or something like that. Go ahead and go with that. Go with what you've been taught. Go ahead and go with what you've been comfortable with. But the idea is just be aware that just because you've been taught a different technique, that you shouldn't necessarily take a look at something that's different and say, oh, that's wrong, or make fun of it. And that's kind of the whole point behind this video. So this is not the full Sabrina. This is the full Sabrina, not the full Sabrina. One of these things is not like the other. Full Sabrina, not the full Sabrina. And that's Zombie Tactics for today. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.